Did you make a New Year's resolution? If so, you are not the only one. According to a CBS News poll, at least 29% of Americans made one this year, but making that resolution isn't the hard part. Keeping them that proves to be the challenge. Joining me now is our health and wellness contributor, Erica Ballard. Erica, last time we talked, you said you recommended starting those resolutions long before the new year if someone missed out. Why was that the case?
The reason for it is during the holiday season, we tend to run into obstacles, and it allows us space to see what those obstacles might be so that we can plan accordingly for 2022.
So now that we're into 2022, how are your resolutions going so far?
I think they're going pretty well. I only set 2, so they've been pretty easy to manage, but I'm proud of myself thus far.
Okay. Do you care to share?
Sure. So my 2 resolutions were to sleep more and also to give myself grace when my morning routine doesn't look the way I expected it to. You see, I have a 6-month-old, and so the goals I put in place for 2022 were to help me roll with the punches a little bit better.
Oh, man, good luck, good luck. I'm rooting for you. You have some tried and true tips to try and keep these resolutions going, and your first one, kind of like you just talked about, is resting. How is that going to get people motivated to try and maintain those resolutions?
Rest, it's such an important thing. And before I go into it, I want to preface with this. The reason why we're having this conversation is because in 2022, and really with any New Year's resolutions, most people try to willpower their way towards their goals, but we know that willpower is finite. So we want to be using these tried and true systems and tactics and tools to enable us to sustainably go after our goals, and rest is one of them, even though it might seem counterintuitive. And the reason for that is if you're feeling tired or you're feeling pain, that is your body's signal that you need to rest. And it's really important we pay attention to this, particularly when it comes to pain, because pain is the body's way of saying something's wrong and you need to do something differently. And if we don't rest, we can never heal that pain, nor can we make the space necessary to understand what we need to do differently.
Now, your second tip has a lot to do with emotions. Tell us about that one.
Sure. It's to feel your feelings, which seems pretty obvious, but we live in a culture that says when you have a negative emotion or think a negative thought, you should push it to the side. But the reality is when you feel a negative feeling, when it comes up, you want to actually feel into it so that you can see the negative thought associated with it. Because it's only when you see that negative thought that you can start to understand what the reframe needs to be to reprogram your brain. And the reprogramming of your brain is really important to get that consistency and natural way that we all seek to achieve.
And finally, you said to reevaluate your goals. Why is that a good idea? And I guess how often should you maybe do that?
This one is really important, particularly right now, because when it comes to New Year's resolutions, we all get really swept up in the New Year hype. And that's okay because we're human. But because we're human, I want to remind viewers that we need to, at the end of the month, step back and say, are these really the goals that I want for myself? Because if they are, great, you can continue to move forward. But if they aren't, you want to actually maneuver and adjust your goals so that you can move forward without feeling like a failure. And so with that, the amount of times I would say to look at your goals is every month. Reassess, readjust, reconsider, because you're allowed to change.
Well, thank you so much for your time and these great tips, and best of luck with trying to get some sleep, all right?
Thank you.
All right, take care, and don't forget you can catch all of our health and wellness segments right now at cbsdenver.com.